I can't dress up as like a like.
Go ahead and get started. So like I said last week, for tonight's class, we are going to be doing food signs, okay? I typically like to start off with the fruits and then go like vegetables and kind of go down until we actually get like to the entree parts. With that being said, if you don't hear me, we don't sign any words that you're curious of, you're more than welcome to add them in the chat. I'm gonna open that chat now so I don't forget. But I do like to always just kind of preface that the more specific you go, the more likely you have to fingerspell. There are just certain foods that you just have to fingerspell because they're not used as often. And so I just like to let people know that in case like there's like 20 different foods and I'm like, yeah, that's fingerspell. Because I can see that sometimes I'm like, I'm sorry, I have to disappoint you. That doesn't have a sign. I'm also disappointed. I like them too. And so I just like to give everyone a fair warning beforehand. Okay, so we're going to start off with our food, sign for food itself. So the sign for food is going to be food. It's like it's not a full circle. It's like kind of a smushed O, and you're going to go food. And you do want to make sure you at least double tap this one, food. With one tap, that actually means the sign for eat. So that's how you tell the difference between a verb and a noun. So like the noun food itself versus the verb of eating it. There's a few other signs that actually do that. And it's actually really cool in my opinion, because it's not having to make a big change to that word itself. Let me pin myself real quick because I realize I'm not doing that. And then there. Okay. So then the next one I have is the sign for fruit. So the sign for fruit is going to be an F, and you're going to put it at the corner of your mouth, and you're going to go fruit. Fruit. Good. Okay. The next one is going to be apple. So apple is going to have that kind of X shape, and then the back of like the middle part of your finger is going to go across like near your cheek again, and you're going to go apple. 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 Then we have orange. Orange is going to be orange. Orange. I think of this like holding an orange and like squeezing it. I don't know why that's like my mindset. Oh, makes connection, but that's what it does. This is also the sign for the color orange as well, which I know you're probably like, well, they're both orange. It makes sense. There are some words that may be the exact same word, but because the meaning changes, it's not the same sign. I'm gonna hold on that. And if we have time at the end, I'll kind of explain that more because it's actually really cool, but I don't want to like dive too deep into it.
Remind me, did I share the colors video? I think okay, but I will make a note to share that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you did, but maybe not. Anyways, she'll share the colors video. There's a colors video that has just the basic colors of the rainbow. Because again, if you go really specific where you're doing lavender or lilac or any lilac, every time I have to voice a word, it kind of is like, huh? You would have to fingerspell. But like the basic colors themselves, those are the signs. Okay, so back to our fruit, we have the next one is then strawberry. So strawberry is going to be your thumb. What you're going to do is you're going to have the pad of your thumb is going to touch your chin. Strawberry. The reason I emphasize this is because I catch myself all the time going strawberry. This is not strawberry. This is secret. When it's the nail touching your chin, it's secret. Strawberry is your thumb. The amount of times I've asked students, oh, is your favorite a strawberry? And they're like, favorite secret? What? And then they think I'm trying to ask something. I'm like, no, strawberry. And they're like, oh, okay. It's caught me a few times. All right. The next one we'll do before we go back is grapes. So grapes is going to be your non-dominant. It's going to be kind of facing down. Your dominant is going to come on top and is going to go do. It's kind of like this bent, yeah. And what it's supposed to represent is the bunches of grapes like connected on the vine. So grapes. Okay, let's go back to our food sign.
I have 1 second. I have a quick question. I sometimes not quite ambidextrous, but there's times where I'm trying to figure out what's quote unquote dominant or not dominant for me. Would that make a difference if I start signing one way, but then have to switch over because it like may hurt or something else? Like, is that going to confuse people in any form or fashion?
Thankfully not, actually. There's a lot of students, especially those who have had the language growing up, and are really like they have got it. They will alternate hands sometimes. It's actually really cool. And so sometimes they'll fingerspell with one hand, but then they'll fingerspell with the other. I can fingerspell with my right hand. It's not great. That's just me, because I've been used to always using my left hand. And so there's not really many signs that it's a big deal. Like if you go for your right or your left hand, if you fingerspell or change things like that, it's not going to make a big difference to them. They may notice it though, and they may be like, what hand do you write with? Because they might just be actually curious, but I don't see them doing you're signing wrong because you're using your right hand instead of your left hand. And what's really cool is when you have a few people that
Wait a minute.
Wait.
Right hand. Wait, what was that? Yeah,
So
I caught you.
Your right hand's going to be an R, and you're going to point it to the right direction.
Right, okay.
Your left hand's going to be an L, and you're going to point it to the left direction.
That is so cute. I love it.
I totally just realized I've never done that before in class either. I love how she caught it. That's also how you would say directions too. So like if you're saying you're going to take a left, you'd go left, like left or right. Right. It's very cool. But there are some people that will sign at the exact, like they'll fingerspell at the same time. I cannot. I start to like lose myself, and then it gets all wonky. But there are some that will literally be able to fingerspell like all at the same time, and it's really cool. Usually it is, like I said, it's a person who has literally signed all their life. Me, I get jumbled too fast. Okay, so let's go back to our very beginning. So we had the sign for food. Food. And then we had the sign for eat, which was eat one time. My memory to help with that is that if you think about it, when you're eating food, if you're putting food in your mouth, you're not going to like put it in, pull it out, pull it in, put it out. You put it in one time and then you eat. So eat. I don't know if that helps anybody, but that's just like my way of thinking of it. Then we had fruit. So the F, corner mouth, fruit. Then we had apple. Apple. Excuse me. Then orange. Orange. Sorry, I got the hiccups.
So one other quick thing, because is it just the posture of the hand? We did sign language with my kids for milk, and I thought milk was something very similar.
It is actually. Milk is, instead of putting it in front of your face, it's away from here.
Okay, that's what it was. Okay, alrighty.
I'm glad you got that. Yeah, so we'll have our usually the drinks are at the end, but yeah, this is milk for those who are what he was talking about. And then strawberry. Then our grapes. Oh,
but secret is
the nail.
Okay.
Secret. And then our grapes. Okay. So the next fruit I have is banana. Banana I've seen two, they're very similar. Pretty much the same thing. It's just there's one slight little change of how it's done. And so either way works. I've seen banana with, you're going to have your non-dominant as a pointer finger, and your dominant is going to make the motion of peeling the banana. The other one I've seen is just the whole fist. Not as often. I do see this one more with the pointer finger. But just in case if you see this, you can still make that connection of banana. Then the next one I have is peach. So peach is going to be peach. And it's just like you're like caressing. The connection is peach fuzz. If you think about like, oh, the peach fuzz on your cheek, peach. Okay. Then the next one I have is lemon. So lemon's going to be that L. Your thumb is going to be in the same corner of your mouth that we've been doing with like fruit and things like that. And you're going to go lemon. Then my last one, and if anyone argues with me, I always feel like someone's questioning, is my tomato. The start of when we first started class, I'd accidentally put it down with my vegetables. And then when I changed it back, I kept like doing this back and forth thing. So I'm always like, my tomato's in the middle because it's right there. So for tomato, it unfortunately does not have its own sign. It's two signs put together. So what it is it's going to be the sign for red and then slice. Okay. So you'll go red, red, red. And then you're going to like pretend to have that kind of like flattened O with your non-dominant. And then you go slice. Like you're cutting it. So tomato is red, slice. I remember thinking, wow, you can't even have your own independent sign. You have to have people other ones with it. I always thought that was funny. Okay. Let's go through those four before we start the vegetables. And then we'll go through vegetables. So we had our banana. Peach. Lemon. And then tomato. Okay, good. So now on to our vegetables. All right. So the sign for vegetable, I've seen it. The reason I do that, I have that heavy sigh, is because it's very similar. I've seen people change it sometimes. So I'm going to show you both. The one I typically do for vegetable is you're going to have your V, kind of like how we did our fruit, and then you go vegetable. But I have seen people also do vegetable, where they do the flipping, like pointer finger, middle finger, vegetable. I've kind of seen those kind of not interchange, but that some people will do vegetable, some will do vegetable. So I just want to give you that in case you see that either way. Then my next one is corn. Corn, again, also has two ways to do it. The first one is you're going to have your pointer finger and you're going to go corn. So it's like you start on the side and you like turn it as you go across. Corn, or corn, like corn on the cob. See, this one made sense to me. This one kind of was like, I think I'm like brushing my teeth with it. But I see this one way more often. I think it just depends on what they learn and what everyone learns. And so I just think it's funny because I was always like, when I was learning it in high school, I was like, this is corn to me, not this. I'm not brushing my teeth. And then I went to school and everyone's like corn. I was like, okay, never mind. I lost that one too. Okay. The next one I have is potato. So potato is going to have your non-dominant in a fist. And your dominant is going to be in this bent V where it's like the two. And you're going to tap on top. Potato. This is also the sign for chips as well, like potato chips. Generally used kind of for both. And what I like to tell people is that context will kind of pick up on it for you most of the time, of if you're talking about actual potatoes, if you're talking about chips. At least for me, like my general, like if we're having hot dogs for lunch, then we're going to have potato chips. Or if we're having like steak, we're going to have potatoes with it. It kind of is those kind of things. But if all else fails and you're really like concerned, like someone's going to misunderstand potatoes versus chips, you can just do potatoes. And then for your chips, fingerspell chips. I do see some people will go and then they'll like fingerspell chips. But most of the time I just see this. Okay. Oh, and then I got to add the sweet potato. For sweet potato, what you're going to do is you're going to do the sign for sweet, which is sweet, sweet potato. Sweet potato. And that one's also like just sweet in the generalized, like describing someone or even talking about like the taste. Like I said earlier, sometimes they can be different. That one's the same for both. Okay. Then we have cabbage and lettuce, really. There are two ways I've seen this one also be done. One of them I see way more often than the other, but I do like to give you guys that one just in case you see it. So the one I see most of the time is you're going to have this, it's kind of like a C, but it's really wide. Like it's not a full, like hunched over. It's like really wide. Okay. And you're going to go cabbage. Like the palm of your hand's going to touch your head. Yeah, cabbage. Cabbage. Yeah. So like, and I move, sorry, I didn't say this, but I move my thumb back. Like the C is like not even a full C. It's like kind of back. Cabbage. I make the connection of a head of lettuce, and that like these are like the leaves coming off of the lettuce, not the leaves. When you open it up, that kind of thing. Head of lettuce. The other one I see that's not often is lettuce with the L the same way. I don't see that one often. I really don't. I've seen it a few times. So, but most of the time I just see cabbage or lettuce. Okay. We'll do one more, then go through those. The next one I have is carrot. Carrot is just going to be carrot, carrot, carrot. Like the motion of word. Take a bite and crunching. Carrot. Excuse me. Okay.
Question. I have a question. So cabbage and head of lettuce is the same?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Most of the time, again, with cabbage or lettuce, like if there was someone talking more so about cabbage and really wanted to emphasize it's not lettuce itself, they will like finger spell it. Or even sometimes, this one's not as often, but I do see this like sometimes with coworkers or people who may have had some hearing at some point or had gone through learning how to speak, have like what's the word? Lip movement. I can't think of the word for it. But sometimes they'll go cabbage, like they'll mouth it almost. It's not always saying like they know the word, but it's like they can mouth the or the like that kind of thing will make a difference. I know that's weird to say. But there are just some of those signs where you just see the mouth movement enough that you're like, oh, I know what word you're talking about. That kind of thing. Again, follow spells, cabbage. Doesn't hurt to finger spell it. They really aren't going to judge you if you finger spell. I mean, there are many times I'll be in a conversation and I will stop and I will finger spell a word because I don't know the sign for it or I've not seen a sign for it. And they'll give it to me, you know, or they'll be like, we're good, and keep going through the conversation. It's not like how in English where if you spelled out a word, they would look at you funny. Not going to be like that. So do not feel embarrassed if you have to finger spell to anyone. Okay. Let's go back to our vegetable. So we had vegetable, vegetable, then corn, corn, or corn, corn. I'm like, there we go. Sorry, I was staring at my hands doing this. Corn. Then potato. Potato. Sweet potato. Potato. Good. Then cabbage slash lettuce. Cabbage. I know I interchange them, but it's still the same thing. Then carrot. 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 Okay. Now we're on to the next one I have is pickle. And then that's kind of all I've got for vegetables. A lot of them, like I said, they do end up being fingerspelled a lot. And then after we do pickle, I have a few ways of how you would describe like the taste, like if it's something that's hot, cold, spicy, things like that. So for the first one for pickle, again, this is another one where you can see two signs for it. I know I say that a lot, that like I said, ASL is very, like I said, sometimes it's more ASL, sometimes it's more English, that kind of thing. So that's why there's always a possibility of there being two different ways you can sign it. So I just like to say that. The first one for pickle, which I do see this one more often, is you're going to make that P. It's kind of more of a K because you're not bending it down. You're going to have your middle finger go to the corner of your mouth and you go pickle. 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 The other one I see is pickle. Excuse me. Now, this one I don't typically use often because this also means candy. And I personally feel pickles and candies are very different things. I'm not a pickle girl. I do not like pickles. And so if someone were to try to tell me, oh, candy, so I still like pickles. I'm like, no, I do not want a pickle. I want a candy. Like that's like my whole big deal. So the reason that's why I do this. Sometimes when people are doing this for pickle, they kind of like purse their lips like it's sour. That's how I can see a difference. But like I do just pickle candy. Okay. Now onto our little descriptors. The first descriptions. I cannot talk tonight, guys. I am so sorry. I have sour. Sour is going to be very similar to the candy. It's going to go sour, sour, sour. And I always tend to add that like little, like imagine taking a bite of a lemon, like, ooh, sour kind of face, sour. I get very expressive on these. I like to make it be known if I think something is sour or sweet. My kids think it's funny. They think it's so funny how many, like my face just shows everything. And they'll even say like, your eyes just bug out. I'm like, yeah, because I didn't like that. Or I was like, it was really hot. And they just giggle. They think it's so funny. So the next one I have is sweet, which we did earlier. So sweet, sweet, sweet. Then we have hot. Now this is the one for like, it's really hot, not spicy. There is a difference between those two. So hot's going to be this, again, that open kind of C. You're going to have it in front of your mouth and you're going to go hot, 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 hot. Okay. And then we'll do spicy. So spicy is going to be, you're going to kind of, I'm going to do the motion first to show you, and then I'll slow it down. It's spicy. And so what you're doing is you're wiggling your fingers as they're coming away from your mouth. I think about those cartoons that when they eat like a pepper and like flames come out of their mouth, like that's what I think about, is like flames. So spicy. Or I have seen kids who will just go, oh, that was hot. They will do the like natural. And then the last one I have before we review is cold. So cold is going to be two little like fists and you're going to go cold, cold. I mean, think about when you go outside and you're like, oh, and you like kind of crunch up your shoulders, cold. Yeah, cold. That can be for typing like the description of food. Also can be for temperatures like how you're feeling. So if it's like it's cold, like this morning my kids came in and were like, it's cold outside. It can be for any of those. Okay, let's go back to our pickles. And then, yeah. So we had pickle. Then we had, well, I guess I did add candy here. Candy. Then sour. Sour. Then sweet. Sweet. Hot. 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 Spicy. Spicy. And then cold. 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 Now, I don't know if I've gone over how important facial expressions are. I'm not going to try to go too long if I have already. But I think this is just a good, especially when you're talking about spicy, hot, or cold. Your face, the way you express yourself is really important in ASL. Hence why I make these really dramatic facial expressions. It's not just for y'all's own amusement and benefit. It's actually really very much in ASL. So if you were talking about something being cold, or you're saying it's cold outside, you want to go cold. Like you want to just kind of keep your face neutral. Like I always like to say, almost think about you're putting on a play and you really need to express how you're feeling. Like, I mean, you really want to show those facial expressions. It's really important because if not, it could also be like, sometimes they may think you're being like sarcastic because you're neutral face, or they're not going to be able to understand like, okay, you saying it's cold, but you don't really look it. It's just that kind of thing. If you're someone who shows like every emotion you've ever felt on your face, you're good to go. If not, you may want to like practice.
So I have a question, because one of the reasons I wanted to take this is I'm autistic. And so for me, I wanted to try to find a way to communicate maybe a little bit less verbally.
Mhm.
And obviously, being autistic, facial expressions is not something that's very easy. Do you have advice or other thoughts besides just practicing? Because again, that doesn't come naturally to me to just like put on this kind of that over the top expression. But I don't want to come across sarcastic in two forms.
Usually I totally get it. We have a couple of students who are also have autism. And so that's something that they do kind of have to work with as well, is how to express themselves. A lot of times with it is even if you can do just a little bit, like you don't have to go the full, but kind of just like, to show, not always keep it neutral. That kind of helps. A lot of times with us is because we know, okay, that student does have autism. So if they don't show off as much, it's okay. Also clarification too. And so a lot of deaf people are very blunt. They don't hide away. They're not going to ask this, like, they're not going to like, how we have flower language? They don't have that, like, at all. They are going to be so forward with you. It might actually be a little like, whoa. They may ask you straight up, are you being sarcastic? And you can just say, no, I'm actually being serious, and then keep through the conversation. So, and they don't mean, like, they're not going to be rude saying, are you being sarcastic? Like, they're going to ask that question, to be honest.
Jillian,
No,
what is serious?
What?
You just did that. I'm serious.
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 It's like our sour,
Okay.
but it's on your, like, your teeth. Usually it's like, with that. But what were you going to say?
I appreciate more direct conversation anyway. So it's like I'd rather somebody say, no, I'm not, rather than assumptions.
Right. Well, when you're first learning it, I will tell you, it's kind of like a little bit of a culture shock. Which I mean is true. It's ASL is so directly related with deaf culture that you do have a little bit of that culture shock, like, whoa. They're not gonna like I said, they really don't shy away from things. They're going to be very forward, and they're not being offensive or anything. That's just how they are, and that's how their culture is. I mean, for example, and I know we usually do this later on, but I'm gonna bring it up real quick here, is when you're describing a person, how when we're talking about someone who, maybe a little bit chubby or a little chunky, things like that, we have all these different nicer ways of saying than saying the word fat. Not an ASL. It's fat. It is very much, that's it. And that's not to be an insult. That is just being a general description. And so having to learn to not take things as much as personal, because it's not to be insult, it's just very forward. It takes a minute, very much so. And I really appreciate the teacher I was with for my intern. She is so blunt and so forward that I had such great experience. I was like, okay, I get it now. And like, she'll tell you, I'm not going to hide away. And I remember when she was like trying to think of how to like describe when you just keep going on and on and on. I was like, it's called flower language. And that's now what we always go with. She's like, I don't have that flower language. I don't have time for flower language. I'm like, right. I will still have flower language because I'm used to it, but I understand. So very big thing. All right, let's do our main courses of what I got here. And then I know this is a lot, guys. I have then desserts, a little bit of breakfast, lunch, dinner, drinks, and then that's all I should have is those little lists. So, excuse me. Oh
Jillian, can I ask you a question?
Mhm.
Back about potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
If you're offering someone chips,
Mm-hmm.
then would you go spell Cheetos or are there signs for other?
The different flavors.
Yeah, yes.
You typically would. I'm trying to think of, well, actually, this is a good time. I'm glad you asked that question because I actually have a few signs that relate with entree, like main meals, that we've not done before. One is barbecue. Yeah, we've never done that one.
How? What is wrong with that?
I know, right?
We're about to be kicked out of Alabama. Like,
Totally not
that's
Alabama.
it. How did we?
I don't know. No one's asked it though, so like it can't be. It's not all of us because they didn't ask us.
That's a good
Anyway,
point.
barbecue. What you do for barbecue is you're gonna do the shorthand that you guys when you write it out. So barbecue, the BBQ. Mm-hmm. You can, if you're talking about barbecue potato chips, you can do the barbecue, the BBQ. The cheese one, you can, I think I have cheese later on, but I'll add cheese. So cheese is going to be, you have your non-dominant kind of sideways. Your dominant is going to have the palm go on top. Yeah, sorry, I know I'm making it very awkward, like this. And then you go cheese. You shake it back and forth, cheese. So if you're talking about cheese, like cheddar chips, you can do cheese. If it's one of those like really fancy random ones or something like that, I would finger spell it, just, you know, because there's really not always signs. I'm trying to think of one's a good example of that. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to think of like any kind of other ones. Like Cheetos, I would finger spell Cheetos. That one I have not seen a sign for. And if someone tells you it could be a local sign they use for Cheetos, that can be also a thing too. But yeah, most of the time, just Cheetos. Okay, so we had our barbecue. Now we're gonna have salad. So what you're gonna do for salad is you're gonna have these open fives, kind of bent as well, and you're gonna go salad. And I think about when you go to those restaurants that will like do this, like Olive Garden has the tossed salad, is that kind of motion. And you're holding like you're the forks when they come together and they mix the salad. Salad. Then we have pizza. Pizza is going to be, I'm going to show it first and then I'll describe it. Pizza. So it's kind of like your curve holding the slice and you bring it to your mouth. Pizza. Pizza. I do also see sometimes people will go, they'll have like the V bend and then they'll do a Z motion. Pizza. That also can be used for pizza, is the Z's. Pizza. But this one I do see more often. Pizza. Excuse me. All right. Our next one is hamburger. And so what you're going to do for hamburger is you're going to go hamburger. Think about forming the patties. That's what I think of, hamburger. So if you were going to have a cheeseburger, you would do cheese burger. Okay, we'll do one more and then we'll go back through those. The next one I have is fish. So fish is going to be just the generalized fish. Flounder, tilapia, things like that. You would finger spell if you were being specific on that. But if you're just talking about, I had fish for dinner, you will go point your finger in your non-dominant. It's going to go at the base of your dominant. Yeah. And then you're going to go fish. 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 So like I said, that one would just be, that's just the overall term for fish. That's also talking about the fish that live in the ocean. I mean, I know they're the same thing, but like sometimes I'm like, okay, would this be different because this is we're eating this versus this is something that's living, but it's still the same fish. Okay, let's go back. So we had barbecue. And then we had salad. Then we had pizza. Then hamburger. And then our cheeseburger. And then our fish. Okay, so the next one I have is, it's spaghetti and pasta. They both use the same sign. So I just kind of do them as both. It's going to be your pinkies and you're going to go spaghetti. Or pasta. Like I said, they're both the same. If you're talking about like Alfredo or something, I would do pasta and then, I did not spell it right. Alfredo, I would finger spell that one. But if you were talking about just the general spaghetti, this would be, you could just do spaghetti. Like I said, a lot of times it's very, not basic, it's just very much I don't even know the word for it. It's more the common ones, and then if the specific you go, you'd add that to it. Okay. The next one I have is meat. So this is, again, also just the open view of all kinds of meat. What you're going to do is you're going to have your non-dominant sideways. Your dominant is going to be your middle finger and your thumb, and you're going to hook it onto your hand. It's very much based off like the old butcher shop where they used to hang the meats on the hooks. So meat. Fun fact with this one, this also is the same sign for content. Like if school, like the content, I know. I saw that face. That was the exact same facial expression I made. The reason for that is if you think about it, the meat of the text, the information you're learning is the content. That's the connection. I thought that was the weirdest thing I'd ever heard. And I was like, you're totally making this up. What? No, it's the same. So I know it's like, you're like, I mean, I don't ever talk about the word content, you know, but as a teacher, I do. It's like the content of the story, the meat of the story. But yeah, just a little interesting fun fact. Okay. So now how I have it down is I kind of, wait a minute. Yes, no, we're good. Sorry. I was trying to remember when's the last time we reviewed. I have it broken down into the 4 types of meat that I think 3 or 4, I think. I'm trying to remember. Types of meat that you can add to specify. So for example, hamburger meat, any kind of meat like that, ground beef. Unfortunately, what you have to do is you do the sign for cow. So cow is going to be a Y. Your thumb is going to be on your forehead and you go cow. Typically, you can also do it with both hands, but I'm just going to show you the one hand. Yeah. So cow meat. If you want to be specific on your meat, cow meat. You can also just do beef, B-E-E-F. That one also works too. It's always fun when kids finally realize what type of meat everything is, because they're like, they'll ask you, is this cow? And I'm like, yeah, it's beef. Beef means that's cow. And they're like, what? Oh, they like shock whenever they realize it. It's like, surprise. And they're just like, all right. The next one is then like ham and pork, so pig. So the sign for pig is going to be the back of your hand is going to go under your chin, and you go pig. So pig meat. Pig meat. I know. I don't know. I don't like the directness of this. I like the more pork and beef. Maybe you have to add the animal into it. I'm like, oh, I feel so bad. And then steak typically is just meat. Steak. I don't really see too much of that. And if it is, then I do see them just fingerspell steak. What other kind? Chicken has its own. I will add that. You don't have the meat with that one. Chicken in itself is going to be, it's going to be your pointer finger and your thumb, and you go chicken. Chicken. This is also bird. They're all together.
Fried chicken?
If you were going to have fried chicken.
There has to be a sign for fried chicken.
Really? I typically just fingerspell fried and then do chicken. Because this one is just so well, like most of the time people think of as chicken. When you have this, especially when you're talking food, it's not always like thinking about like different birds. And I know you can eat other birds like quail. If you do bird, I'm going to think chicken every time. Or if it's like chicken tenders, chicken fingers, things like that, it's always chicken and then like fingers. And so things like that, that's how it is. It's just kind of a broad chicken. Now, like I almost want to say it's 60% chicken, 40% bird. Unless you're talking about animals in itself. So, yeah. Okay. I think those are our different types of meats. If you get really crazy with like the other ones, I would fingerspell. I'm trying to think of others. Like I said, quail would be one because I would still do bird, but then fingerspell quail just to add that. Yeah. Let's go through those again because I know I added a lot of extra meat descriptions. Oh my gosh, I cannot talk tonight. Okay. So we went back to spaghetti. So we had spaghetti / pasta. Then we had the sign for meat. 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 Then we had our cow meat. Cow meat. Or your beef. Either choice If you would be like, I'd rather fingerspell, go for it. Then we had our pig meat. And then we had our chicken. Okay. Let's try to finish up as many as we can. I'm going to give you the signs for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Breakfast is kind of a little bit different. So I'm going to start with lunch and dinner and then I'll come back to it. Okay. So lunch is going to be an L and you're going to bring your thumb to your chin. Lunch. Super simple, super easy. Lunch. Then for dinner, same thing, but with the D. So the D, dinner. Dinner. And I know some people, I had someone, not in this class, but it might have been my class, ask about, someone was like, what about if you say supper? It's still dinner. Okay. So for breakfast, the reason I said breakfast is different is that typically you really would more so go morning food. Some people will do breakfast with the B on the side. It's not as common, mainly out and about. And the reason I say that is because it can be easily misunderstood as a not nice word. And so that's why I think people typically will do morning food. At our school, since we're elementary students, a lot of times they just do the breakfast because it's easier than morning food for them. They'll go breakfast, but typically I would do morning food. Okay, now let's do our drinks real quick and then we'll review those. So we already have, bacon. Yes, that is a good one. So I do have breakfast foods. Yes, I promise. Once we get drinks, we'll have our breakfast foods. I don't blame you. I'm always concerned about that. I'm like, no, we can't. We have to have the good ones. Okay. So we had our milk we did earlier. Milk. Then water. Water is going to be a W, and your pointer finger is going to go to that corner of your mouth again. Water. This is the water to drink. This is also the water if there's water on the floor, if there's a spill, if there's a puddle, if there's the ocean. It's the whole thing of water. That one's different because the way you differentiate is depending on how you would describe it, which we can get into later on. And so these are just our general drinking water. Then we have soda. So soda is going to be, you're going to have your non-dominant kind of in this cup position, closed, open. I kind of go back and forth. Your dominant hand is going to have its middle finger. You're going to kind of like, it's almost like you're making the motion of opening it up, pulling that tab, and then you lift and then slam down. Soda. My best visual of it is thinking you pop and open that tab, and then because you had shaken it earlier, it like explodes a little. Soda. If you were to get specific on soda, you would fingerspell Coke, Sprite. Sometimes people will do this. I typically see with more kids. So but I like to say it is they may say green for Sprite, or red for Coke. Sometimes I have seen that, not with adults. Usually it's more so with kids. So if you're around someone who has kids like that, I just want to let you know, green might mean Sprite. Okay. Then we have, let's see. I think that's all I have for the drinks right now. Let's do our quick little bit of breakfast, our egg, bacon, and bread. So we had bacon. Bacon is going to be 2 fingers. You're going to have the points touch and you go bacon. And it's like the way, like if you think when you're cooking bacon and it gets all crispy and like wavy, bacon.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Would turkey still be meat?
Yes, turkey would. Sorry, I had to think for a minute because I was like, my brain wanted to say bird, and I was like, no, it's not. Turkey is turkey. Turkey. It's the little gobble. Turkey. I'm trying to remember because I know this is curious. Turkey. Why am I drawing a blank on this? Turkey. There it is. I knew I was wrong. The back of your hand in that cue. Turkey. And it's for the I can't remember what it's called. The little red part that hangs down. Turkey. Thank you for saying that because I would have forgotten. Okay. So we had our bacon. The next one is egg. Egg is going to be those H's again. You're gonna have them on top. And you go egg. And it's like cracking the egg. Egg. And then we have bread. So bread is going to be that non-dominant's kind of in this bent puppet, and you go bread. So you make the motion of like slicing. Bread. If you did anything like toast, things like that with the bread, I typically fingerspell toast. But if, like, for example, if someone's talking about, oh yeah, for breakfast I ate egg, or I said egg as I signed bacon. Sorry, it's one of those days where I flip my words. Bacon, eggs, and then they did this. I would probably assume they meant toast. Unless it was a really big deal, there's a difference, then I would check. But most of the time, that's what I catch on. Okay, let's go through our breakfast, lunch, dinner. Yeah, we did a lot. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, our drinks, and then our breakfast foods. So we had lunch. Then dinner. Then we had breakfast, which was morning food. Then we had milk. Water. Then soda. And then we had our bacon. Egg. And bread. Okay. The last few I have, that's a good one. Coffee. Okay, I'll add that one here. Coffee is going to be coffee. So you're going to have two fists on top, and you're going to go in a circular motion. Now, it's very important you make sure they are on top of each other and not side by side. You want to make sure it's this motion. Because side by side, like if you do this, that means make out. So I don't think you want to tell people that your favorite drink in the morning is make out when you mean coffee. So just FYI, coffee. With that, tea. So tea is going to be, your non-dominant is in that C. Your dominant is going to be in that F shape. And you're going to stick your little, like think about the tea bag. And you're going to spin it in a circle. Tea. If you're talking about sweet tea, you would do sweet tea. Sweet tea. Okay. The last few I have are desserts. And then after that, I will leave it open for you guys to throw any signs that you guys would like to see or know. And then, yeah, we should be done by then. Okay. So the first one I'm going to do is the sign for cookie. Well, let me do the sign for dessert first, actually. So dessert's going to be 2 D's. You're going to have them sideways, and you're going to have them tap. Dessert. Ooh, I can't talk. Dessert. So then we have cookie. So cookie is going to be in that kind of small C, and you're going to bring it to your mouth. Cookie. Then we have chocolate. Chocolate is going to be your fist, your non-dominant's in a fist. Your dominant's in a C, and you're going to go in a circle. Chocolate. And then if you were going to do vanilla, it's the same thing, but with a V. Vanilla. Then we have ice cream. Ice cream is ice cream. Ice cream. Okay. Then we have pie. So pie is going to have your non-dominant palm up, and your dominant is going to make I know it can't really, if I tried to show you above, it would be really awkward, but you're going to just make a triangle. Like pretend like you're cutting into the pie and making a triangular slice. Pie. Pie. And then cake / cupcake. Typically I've always just done the general sign for cupcake and cake is the same, but I have seen people do a different one, so I'll show you both. So you'll have your non-dominant palm up, dominance, and that, again, that kind of biggish open C, and you go cake. I've seen people do this for cupcake and then do a different one for sign. I've done both. If it gets, typically if I get it where I need to be clear, I just always finger spelled cake because it's 4 letters. I have seen some people do for cake, they'll do their non-dominant up again, and they'll make this C and go sideways. Like I'll turn it like I do, like they do this. Cake. So cupcake, cake. Like I said, I typically do fingerspell cake and then do cupcake, cake. But just a little FYI on that. And then, unfortunately, brownies. I have not seen a sign for brownies, fingerspell. And then I think that might be all the desserts I have. Yes, I think so. Okay, so let's go through those real quick, and then I'll leave it open for you guys to add any signs. Where did we start with? Dessert. I had to think for a minute. Sorry. So we have dessert. We have cookie. Then we had chocolate. And it's like the back of your hand. So like you have almost like you're putting a stand for it. Yeah, chocolate. And then vanilla. Then ice cream. Then we had pie. And then our cake. So we had our cupcake. And then the cake. Oh, and we also had the coffee. Sorry, I saw that. Coffee. And then tea. Okay. Are there any food or anything related food-wise signs that you guys are curious about? Well, I take a little sip. Shrimp. Okay, so that is a good one. I'm gonna tell you now, I've seen 2 ways, and I've had kids argue with me that every time I sign one, it's the other way. So I've seen one with the pointer fingers where you go shrimp. The other way I've seen it is with the pinkies, shrimp. The amount of times I have one student, love them to death. They argue every time I do this because they're like, it's shrimp with the pinky, like so insistent. So shrimp. Quesadilla. I've not seen one for that, unfortunately. I've just seen that one finger spelled, or they'll go cheese and then they'll like flip it because this is cook. The sign for cook is you just flip it back and forth. So I've seen like cheese, quesadilla, that kind of thing. But most of the time I do see it finger spelled. Usually once you get that QES, they kind of catch on, and then you that they catch on, you're talking about quesadilla. Any other foods you guys can think of?
How would you say kosher if you wanted?
Kosher. Oh, okay. That's actually a good one. I actually have not. I'll have to ask and see if there's an actual specific sign for kosher.
Jillian, I am surprised
No,
you
I
don't
know.
have that one just right there.
I know, especially
Okay.
working at a Jewish summer camp since I was a kid, like been there forever. Yeah, no, that's why when she said it, I was like, how have I not actually looked this up or figured this out? I would just finger spell kosher and then say can't eat pig, or like I would describe what you can't eat, things like that. That way they can make it clear. Once you say kosher though, usually they probably will keep on. I'm actually gonna, let me put a remind real quick so I don't forget, I want to ask that. I genuinely want to see what that would be. Okay. And while I do this, you guys can think of any other signs. Okay, I think I got it. Any other foods that you guys can think of? I'm trying to see if I have any others. Oh, okay. So sandwich. The sign for sandwich. I always forget this one when it should be up with hamburger. There is a difference. So sandwich is going to be sandwich. It's like two bent finger hands and they come together. Sandwich. 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 Yeah, I used to think it'd be just the same as hamburger. It's not. Big difference. Sandwich. Oh, I did this one earlier, but I didn't say it. Hot dog. So hot dog is going to be, so your non-dominant is going to be in this like open hand like this, like a U shape. And then your dominant hand is going to have just the pointer finger and it's going to go hot dog. Hot dog. Hot dog. I've also seen that for corn dog. Usually they'll go corn, like fingerspell corn, and then dog. So corn dog, hot dog. Oh, French fries. I knew once I started this, I would catch one. French fries is going to be an F, and you're going to go French fries. French fries. French fries. French fries. Taco is going to be the same as hot dog, except now it's taco. It's all four of it inside. Taco. Taco. So like the layers and stuff. Taco. Trying to see if there's anything else. Is there anything else you guys can think of? I know it's 6:30. Any last ones? You know, I have like people like sending me like tons and tons and tons, like so many. And y'all, I'm just sitting here like, is everyone still thinking? Are we good? Okay. Wait, I think I see. Berries. Okay. So are you talking about like blueberries and things like that? Okay. So what?
Because you just went over strawberries, just if there's a generic berries one.
Yes. And that is berries. Berries. It's like it'll have a little C on your finger. Typically you would add, so like if it's like blueberries, a lot of times I'll see people do the sign for blue, which is a B, and you shake it. Blueberries. Blackberries, blackberries, things like that. I've seen that. Raspberries, I've actually just seen be berries, or they'll finger spell it, the whole thing. So raspberries. And then greens, like you're talking about like green beans, things like that.
More since we're in the South, like mustard greens, turnip greens, kale, things of that. So I'm just curious if that's finger spelled or if there's again, so you, since you have greens as, you know, lettuce or cabbage, there's a whole nother leafy part of that. So I didn't know if that there was something else that covered more of, you know, or encompassed
that
more
area
of
that topic. Yeah. I have not seen actually any for like mustard greens or anything like that. Honestly, I could see either way of just finger spelling it all. I can also see some people just trying to shorthand it and then might finger spell mustard and then go green, which is a G, and you shake it. I could see them saying that mustard greens. They may not be ASL correct, but I can see them doing that. Sometimes that'll happen. You're like, is that really technically ASL correct? And you're like, you know, I'm not going to question. I understood what you meant. So I can see either way on that. But yeah, that unfortunately I have not seen one for actual like the greens, like collard greens, anything like that. I've not. I've just seen finger spell. And honestly, even then, because I work with kids, they do not like collard green. They see that green stuff and they go, ew, that's nasty. And they don't touch it. So, all right. It is now 6:32. So what I'll do is I'll let you guys go. If you have any signs you guys think of throughout the rest of the week, you are more than welcome to send them to Miss Katie, and then she will let me know. And then next week we can catch up with them or anything like that. All right. So yeah. All right. Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of y'all's week, and I will see you guys all next Tuesday. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.